Hey, everybody.
Oh, if you were only here.
I'm Zane.
I'm Gene.
And it's Hanging with Uncle. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. It's Friday.
It is the last day of May, the 31st.
Yes, it is. It's hot as hell.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. We are in Arizona, so yes, we are feeling the heat. Hope you all are staying cool out there.
Yeah, so I think, was it the 29th or the 30th was our first 100-degree day?
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep track of how many 100-degree days we have in a row.
Oh, I don't want to. That's exhausting. Anyways, before we get started, please hit that like button.
And subscribe and help us grow to at least 1,000 subscribers.
And hit the notification button whenever you want to see us go live in the future, or whenever you want to know when we post our live video so you can watch it in the future after we go live, whenever you want to tune in.
Yes.
That's why we post.
So, we have a question for you guys.
Yes.
Are we the greatest country in the world? And I know Network already did this with Jeff Daniels and all that, but
Who's that?
that was a while ago.
Yes.
And so I want to know now, after time has transpired, what do you think? Are we the greatest country in the world?
Now, a lot of people jump to the same topic that I normally see, where I'm going to keep that on ice real quick because it will come up. But overall, from what I've been seeing is that without the two things that the people bring up, we're not.
I agree. And, so we had a totally different show plan, but I had this conversation just because of the big news from yesterday.
Yep, and we'll get to that too, absolutely.
Right. So it's like, I'm thinking yesterday was a good day. Justice was served. The lines held. Our system proved it worked. Nobody was above the law. And Zane had a totally different point of view.
Absolutely. But that greatest country of the world conversation, we're going to get there first, okay? We don't want to jump different topics. We've been told.
I just want to know where it started.
Yes.
Let him know where it started.
So overall, it started that, yes, that all happened and everything hunky-dory, but what does it fix internally at the moment?
And my point is, again, it lets us know that nobody is above the law, that we all saw what happened with our own eyes. We're not stupid, and why is it taking so long for justice to be served?
Yep, and we all already knew that, because if he didn't get convicted, then there would be a whole other conversation regarding fair treatment and the justice system not working correctly. It did work correctly. It did what it was supposed to do. And we all should have predicted this, because it did the exact thing it needed to. But if it didn't and he walked free, we would have had a major conversation about whether or not our justice system is one of the best.
So, and here's my point, because I think the justice system is still flawed, even though we had a conviction yesterday, because if me or Zane were convicted on 34 felony counts, would we be free to make a tea time tomorrow?
No.
Hell no. So
absolutely.
There is still a huge inequality in our justice system.
And it needs to be repaired.
So, we're not the greatest country in the world, at least as far as criminal justice. And we could go on and on and on about that.
Which is what I mean about the pretty shell on the outside. We got to make sure that we keep the inside healthy a little bit. And we're kind of not doing that at the moment.
The inside is rotten. There's some good trying to make it healthy, but then...
Now, we can absolutely argue that the military is the greatest thing that we have. Gene, you love our military. We think are the greatest. You served our military.
I'm a veteran.
Yes.
I proudly served.
Yes.
I took an oath to protect and defend our Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And...
Hi, Deb. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's good. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
And I can tell you that there's a reason that Russia has failed still, in my opinion, in Ukraine, and why simultaneously China has not attacked this teeny tiny little island in the Pacific called Taiwan.
And that's because
of our military, because they would lose so fast, and it would be worse than Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo.
Yeah.
I mean, so we do have the greatest military in the world, which I think allows us to enjoy the freedoms we have to discuss the things we want to talk about with you tonight.
But carry on through that, the freedoms that we have doesn't really seem quite as free lately with how things have been working, aka prices on things that are normally meant for you, like grocery prices, gas prices, stuff like that. The infrastructure portion of it is not really the strongest at the moment.
Nope.
One, availability for healthcare as well. I honestly agree our healthcare system is majorly flawed because we, again, are not able to afford our healthcare. Some people are, some people aren't. People are blessed to have companies that have healthcare that goes with their employment. But there are many Americans who are around who don't have healthcare at the moment and are unable to afford it. And
yes.
That, I believe, is a major, major flaw that we have as a society and yet still has not been changed and or updated. Like, does it essentially make us the greatest in the world when it's just our military, which is bright and shiny, right?
You know, I agree with you, man. And I would just clarify it or use a different synonym. That I think access to healthcare is the major problem in this country, because you can go to communist Russia, communist China, communist Cuba, and get universal health care.
Wow.
You can walk in there right now as an American citizen with a health issue, and they will treat you, period, no questions asked, not ask you where's your health insurance card, because it's not health care for profit.
Exactly. And it really shouldn't be for profit either, because it saves lives. Like, I've never understood that.
I mean, I do understand research and development. It takes money to do things. I understand that. However, you know, it's like, we can talk about treatment we've been denied that the doctor has prescribed, but the insurance company refuses to allow it because of money.
Exactly. And money definitely runs our country. We have looked at it through, like, essentially, like, look at our government right now. It really is a major point in our country that a lot of people are focusing more on greed rather than the humanity portion of what needs to be focused on within our country. We have people who are veterans who are still not being treated correctly. We still have people who are being underpaid, even though costs have been increased, but the cost of everything else has also increased, which has been talked about. But overall, the military is great. Nice, shiny shell on the outside. But are we the greatest country in the world when we can't even take care of our infrastructure? Philadelphia is falling apart because of a drug issue and gentrification at the moment. How are we saying that we are the greatest country in the world when people are coming into our country and then losing their lives to drugs? Like, places like, I don't understand how we can say we're the greatest still. There's other places that do other things that are still better. Our education's not the best either. Kids are still learning from books that were made in 2005.
Because we have education for profit. I mean, I remember when I went to junior college, it cost me $5 a semester unit to go to school. So, for example, if I took one 3-unit college course, it cost me $15 plus whatever books I needed for the class or student fees, but it was affordable.
Now, is that
what does it cost now? Somebody, please tell me.
Yeah, is that an echo of our healthy economy? That we're paying more for things now than beforehand?
What it means is that there are administrators making 6 figures off our money and driving the cost of education through the roof.
And again, people want to come here because freedom and happiness and whatever, but financial freedom, I guess, is the idea here, is what we're looking at.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was having a conversation.
I held on to that one earlier.
You know, with my wife yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. I was astonished. We are at the lowest end for income in the lower middle class.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, girlfriend and I are paycheck to paycheck, and we both make around $40,000 something plus dollars a year. I'm paying almost $2,000 in rent.
Right.
But we're the best in the world at the moment.
You know, now, I'll say this, man. Okay, how does government tie into the cost of gas and groceries? And I'll tell you, it's because, and again, we've had this conversation that the president can make no policy that will affect private business, right?
No.
So shrinkflation and all that's going on, and the government does nothing. Gas prices are going through the roof again. Nothing can be done because they're owned by private companies. You know, the president can say, hey, lower your gas price, and they'll just like, go get fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing to no matter if it's Joe Biden or whoever's sitting in the Oval Office. you can't do it. But where the power does lie and where it's not being utilized is in Congress. Because now, say, for example, me as a private business owner of Company A, go to you, elected official in Washington, and say, hey, I'm going to make smaller the size of foods that I'm putting on the shelves in the grocery store, but I'm going to charge more for it. And here's a large chunk of money put into your campaign coffers, into your super PAC, so you don't produce any legislation for me to stop it.
It's frustrating.
So and
really
it is,
frustrating.
and that is why, it's important to vote on the issues and not a party. And I would love for you to tell that story that you were telling me earlier.
Well, I wanted to bounce off what you were saying real quick about corporations making the decision, right? Because we have proof of it as well. The news lately that Target and McDonald's hiked their own prices up thousands of times, multi-thousands of times, 5,000 times within the last year, they said, for Target alone.
Yeah.
On certain prices and certain items. And then now the corporation's like, oh, well, we're going to do stuff and make plans to do sales and such. And McDonald's is creating a whole new $5 meal deal, right? When we've had that for how long, Gene?
Right.
Like, so,
Right.
Again, noticing that the economy does not reflect on that in general. It does, but it doesn't at the same time because we're putting more money into the economy, right? But
Right.
It's
corporate welfare.
It's corporate welfare, yeah. And I'm so sorry, I forget the story you were telling me earlier. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
The one where you were at your current place of employment talking with your employees, just having a conversation.
Oh, about the voting ratio? Okay.
Right.
So,
or at least on how to educate yourself.
Yeah. So, one of my coworkers, a few coworkers of mine, were talking about just how everything's going after yesterday, because, again, we'll talk about that soon. Don't go away, okay? And what happened was that she brought up the charges and everything like that, and one was not paying attention to it. The other was like, yeah, I heard about it, whichever. But we had a conversation about it, which is really nice. Having a conversation just about life and things that are going on, not necessarily like politics and being upset and frustrated at each other, but really understanding where we all meet and coincide with each other on ideas. It was really a good conversation. What she did is she brought up the fact about it, but then she also said that, she wants to become independent because she wants to see more information about both parties instead. And I brought up our hanging with Uncle idea. I was like, hey, why don't we just remove the R and the D and look at it that way?
Yeah.
And they all kind of honestly agreed. But then the idea of, we have to change the Constitution came up too. It's like, that's when that comes up. That's a whole other conversation.
It's already happened 27 times.
I mean, we could do it again, amend, but really it just needs a whole overhaul. I think that's what our generation understands is overhaul it. We need a change right now, because we say that a lot.
And I think, to me, I think the biggest overhaul that I would make in the Constitution, if somebody said, Gene, what do we need to change? Eliminate the two-party system.
And that's huge. I think that's huge. Because that eliminates a team game, but we've already talked about on the show. We're not going to say the whole thing that we talked about on the show. Check prior episodes, of course. But what we think as a group when we were talking in that story was that, it's probably better off to be an independent, but voting independent is still like voter suicide. Like, you're throwing it away, because I taught the ladies and told them about how the voting numbers work, where R and D, your whole vote counts. But with independents, it's halved. So I don't know. Having that conversation, educating friends, and having that conversation about these things really helps a lot. So I think it was a good time to. I wanted to bring that up because I had a wonderful conversation today.
And you're right, because we've had that conversation how the powers that be make it harder if you want to run for office other than an R&D. Oh, you want to run as an independent? Well, now you need 10,000 signatures to get on the ballot versus 2,000.
Versus 2, yep.
Yeah.
Which means why that's why yours is half.
Because they want to stay in power. They don't want to change to make life better for you and me. Because, again, how are we being represented?
We're not.
We have taxation without representation.
I'm going to be honest. I've been saying it for the past few months. We need a younger government to represent us. We need a government that represents us as a whole. We're going over old ideals, old topics, things
You know
that have
why
been
it's
around
old?
for a while. Why?
Because it's based on a seniority system.
And there's
who's
no
been here
term.
the longest. So that's why Schumer is the leader. That's why McConnell was the leader. It's who's been there the longest that gets rewarded.
And that's why a term limit is necessary as well, I think. Definitely a term limit for them. Because that's what changes America with us. I was telling Gene earlier, we're behind. Like, we should be voting more and changing more about things that we want to change, like universal health care, all those other things.
Yeah.
Like proper gun rights and everything like that, sure. But the racism, the issues, the infrastructure that we're having as a social society is an issue. Like, we're falling backwards in time for that itself, and that's what we're voting on instead. We're following a cult leader who's a
Here's an idea.
felon and our actual government.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
So let's just say the majority of Americans don't want term limits, just for conversation's sake. But we make an amendment in the Constitution that says every 4 years, Congress will elect a new speaker. So it's not the same speaker over and over and over and over.
Okay.
And the Senate elects a new majority leader, so it's not the same one over and over and over and over.
That makes sense. Or like have them like compete for their seat again. Like, okay, it's been 4 years. Here comes the competition. You got to compete for your seat.
If you want new blood, then that's how you do it. Because, like you're saying, if we always have the same people in there, what's going to change?
It has like an Afro samurai backing to it.
Right.
Like, you got the one headband, bro. You got to watch out for number 2 because number 2 is the one that's going to come after you. But like, it's just,
you know. So I mean, but just something like that, and then I think that would go a long way to making the American people feel like, well, at least maybe we have a chance now to get some change. Because before, like you're saying now, what chance do you think that we're going to have a chance of government representing us?
oh, God, when we're alive, hope I don't know.
I don't see it.
I have no idea. I can't see it. Our generations of generations are probably going to see it because we're too far behind at the moment. I had something and I totally lost it. I'm so mad. I had it and I totally lost it, man, because it was a good transition. God dang it. But overall, I truly think that if they even had not term limits where like you lose your seat and you're gone forever, they still have the seat, but they have an opportunity to have somebody like compete for it, right? Or,
right.
I think that would be great.
Or and say like every 2 years you elect a new intelligence leader and a new military liaison leader. I forget what the veterans assistance or coordination or whatever, right?
Right.
Or oversight, to have all those positions mandatorily be filled by somebody else. So we have a potential for change in the right direction and keep things updated, progressing.
Yes.
And not be stagnant.
Because I feel like right now, when people are throwing the word progressive around, which I feel like we kind of started that in a way, because we said that first. But people are throwing that word progressive around, and I feel like it's just an empty word at the moment. They don't know what it means. They don't know how to represent that or show that.
Just think. And this is the easiest way that I could define it. It's to progress forward. So,
and to be assertive about it. Honestly.
For example, right now I'm driving an electric car. That means I progress from internal combustion, which means that I progress from horse and buggy. To me, that's what it means to be progressive.
The people, I love them dearly, but the people who have the argument for the electric's never gonna replace it's gonna happen, dude.
But we need the infrastructure in place for it to happen,
and which is not happening at the moment because we're so worried about our military. Anyway, sorry, I did it. And the economy. Sorry for those economists out there. Yeah, our economy is great and all, but because we're putting more money into it than we should be. Anyways.
Well, here's my thing on the economy.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about the American economy, that people get it twisted with their economy. Well, gas prices are high. How's the American economy good? Well, that's not what you measure the American economy by. That's what you measure your economy by.
Yeah.
The American economy is based on unemployment, on gross domestic product, those kinds of things, Bureau of Labor Statistics and those kinds of things. That's what the government bases its economy on. And so if you look at the criteria on how the government's economy is based, it's doing well.
Okay.
Now, I just wish that translated into a better economy for you and me.
Exactly.
That hasn't happened.
Which, again, is that representing us? I don't know. But does that make us the greatest country in the world, that we have a good military and don't focus on the people that are within it?
I still say we have the potential.
Yes.
But just because we have a strong military doesn't mean that we've abandoned the principles of taking care of the citizens. Because if we looked at having some form of universal health care to keep everybody healthy and safe, if we had a system in place where people's rights were protected instead of stripped, like women's reproductive rights, that still pisses me off. That's discrimination on its face. And I have no idea why that hasn't been brought to the Supreme Court.
As much as we love our military, I'm going to bring it up. We definitely don't love them after they're not defending us, when they're veterans and they're on the street not getting taken care of. But that's a whole other thing.
But you call yourself pro-life.
Yep, that's another conversation. We're going to move on because the topic that you're waiting for has upon us. Number 34 has now jumped into the list as one of the greatest numbers of all time.
One felony count.
Behind 69 and 420. 34 has popped up into the mix with 24, and I would say another great number is 7, because everyone likes 7s, right? 34, where's that coming from? That's 34 counts, ladies and gentlemen. Guilty for Sir Donald J. Trump.
Convicted felon,
and deservedly so. Now, overall, the conversation now behind it is where are the people who are rebuttaling? Well, the people who are rebuttaling are coming up with the idea that Joe Biden rigged the election when it was a state election and full of jurors who were within the state who did the same process as everything else. So that's what happened. So the people who believe in our justice system, who are saying now our justice system is corrupt, but they also believe in the justice system, but when police officers also abuse them, they get up. They're a whole mess at the moment. MAGA, the Republican Party, is blowing up internally because of what happened yesterday. But again, like we said earlier, I'm not surprised. I'm going to be really straightforward about this. What does it fix other than, yes, he has a felony mark on him. He still can run for president. He can't vote for himself. Awesome. -1. Cool. But overall, what does this help America with?
It solidifies people's faith in the system that no one is above the law, and that is the best answer I can give.
And that is the answer that we all wanted and we're hoping for, because if it, again, was the other way around, we would have had a different issue. MAGA hats, whatever, would be running around happy, screaming that he made it through, when that's only one out of 40 others that he has to go through, other trials.
On the grand scheme of things, I'll tell you this: this is the importance of it, and it boils down to the Electoral College.
Okay.
So out of 50 states, it's going to come down to about, between maybe 5 and 7 swing states that decide the Electoral College.
And are you saying this is going to affect the swing
states? And those will affect those voters who are on the fence. Well, am I going to vote for a convicted felon to occupy the Oval Office? I can tell you right now, as an independent voter, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. My whole ideal behind it is that, yes, cool, it happened. We move on to the next step to when the Hydra's head has been taken off, and then 3 more are coming back. That's the reality of it.
Watch the movie.
Even though we did what we wanted to do, we are going to have a tougher issue at hand. He still gets the spotlight. He's still going to be there. He's still going to get TV time. The MAGA now are super upset, and they're going to listen to him even more now. The ones that you can talk away from it, cool. They're learning, and they saw it. They're like, okay, yeah, he's a felon. Maybe I shouldn't vote for him. A traitor, by the way, if you were to vote for him. Overall, they're still just as strong. They're still there. They still exist. And nothing really has changed besides the fact that he is a convicted felon on his title there.
Okay. I do want to bring up an important point.
Okay.
Based on personal experience from being in law enforcement, having worked narcotics, having written search warrants and gone to the judge's chambers, I can tell you in all my years of law enforcement, in bringing a case to the prosecutor, not one time have they asked me, well, is this guy a Republican or a Democrat? They don't care.
That would be inappropriate.
What they care about is their numbers.
Yes.
Is this case winnable? Are all the elements in your report?
Is it worth the money?
So now if I want to run for a district attorney, guess what? I can run on, I have a 99% conviction rate, because that's what they're concerned about. They don't care about politics or what party you vote for.
Joe Biden did not show up to the to the judge and say like, "Hey, man, you really got to get this guy."
Didn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen that way at all. Biden even came out and spoke about it too. The same thing, kind of what I said earlier, that the judge was somebody who was appointed by the state, and the jurors were people of America, people who were from the street, who went through the same process, all the other processes that happen here in America. So overall, I am happy, I guess, that it happened.
I'm happy justice was served.
I'm happy that I did it correctly is the idea.
I think it was done correctly. I think when
correctly.
it goes to appeals, the conviction will be upheld.
It was correct. Now, he does have to go through his gauntlet still. That's only 34 convictions. We'll find the grand total at the end of everything.
Well, you know, one thing at a time, man.
Yeah.
He gets sentenced on July 11th.
Yep.
So what's going to be dangerous, as you're talking about the head of the Hydra, between now, the entire month of June, and the first couple of weeks into July, he's going to be in front of a microphone spewing all these lies. And I'm telling you, if you have friends or cousins, loved ones that work in law enforcement, that work in the court, ask them, how many times is it brought up when a case is brought? Is this person a Republican or a Democrat?
Oh, God. I made sure.
Ask them yourself.
Yeah.
Don't believe me. Ask them yourself.
I'd make sure you ask them twice. That's what I'm going to say. Ask them twice. But, I mean, overall, yesterday was history, right?
Yeah.
You can definitely explain that.
But not in a good way.
No, not at all. Because overall, that shows that we, in history, America, had a president who's a convicted felon now. Doesn't that feel great?
Yeah.
That's the big picture that I see.
In my lifetime. Come on.
That's the picture that I see. We had a convicted felon, or have a convicted felon still, who is running for president, who has still a possible chance. That's crazy to me.
I think the conviction yesterday made that chance slimmer.
You know what's really funny? I watched, I hopped on news networks, watched their live feeds of what was going on when that was going on. You know what Fox was talking about? The change in the Taco Bell menu and what they're getting rid of, baby. That's the important conversation right now. What are they getting rid of in Taco Bell?
Because remember, CNN, MSNBC,
C-SPAN,
ABC, NBC, they are all registered as news outlets. They have First Amendment privilege, freedom of the press. Fox is granted that, but they are registered as an entertainment industry, not a news industry. They're there to sell ratings and see how many fish they can get to bite the hook and buy the crap they're selling. They're liars. They've already proved it with the Dominion lawsuit they settled for $750 million. Why would you still go to that organization thinking they're credible when they're proven liars in court?
You know what Albert Einstein had said about insanity?
I don't know. Yeah. Well.
Find out on your own. Anyways, we are actually at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I don't have a dumbass of the day.
Well,
and
you know, I think it's pretty collective.
we
who
kind
the
of know who it
dumbass
was
is.
from
Yeah, so-
yesterday. But honestly, I challenge you to go maybe talk with a family member, whatever. Find your own dumbass of the day and share it with them. Maybe have a conversation on your own. You know what I mean? I'm Zane.
I'm Gene.
It's been Hanging with Uncle. We broke our dumbass of the week streak, but we'll come out with a good one next time. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, and thank you for watching. Remember to be kind to one another and treat each other the way you want to be treated.
And pay yourself.
Pay yourself.
Have a good one.
Night, everybody.